ito ay isang continuous operation. So nasundan nila unfortunately dito sa area ng Baguio. Yung suspect natin is a Chinese national and he was not even a resident here. That justifies that they are not actually operating within Baguio City. Parang nag-imbak lang si dito.
Pero sa mga tiga Cordillera, huwag kayo mabigla dahil ito yung naka-imbak dito, hindi naman to for distribution only for Cordillera, for Baguio. Hindi po ganito. Ito i-distribute nila malamang ito sa iba-ibang lugar po ito. So kaya yung nangyayari dito ay apektado po ang buong bansa rito.
From the nation's capital, all sides, all the time, I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. The big story tonight.
Methamphetamine or shabu has been seized by authorities in a house in Baguio City. The total haul, 575 kilos worth some 4 billion pesos. The suspected shabu were found inside Chinese tea bags. Authorities arrested Chinese nationals Ming Hui alias Tan, an occupant of the house. The DILG suspects that the shabu may have been brought to Cordillera for storage and then was supposed to be distributed elsewhere. Interior Secretary Ben Abalos believes the seized drugs could possibly be part of the 900 kilos recently discovered in Metro Manila, citing similar markings.
Magtataka kayo bakit andito mga kapulisyahan ng National Capital Region. Kaya nagpunta po sila rito because this is a continuing operation, no, ng NCRPO at ng PIDEA. Ito'y simula lamang. Marami pa itong.
The PNP meanwhile notes that based on initial information, none of the illegal drugs have been distributed. In light of the incident, the Baguio City Police says they will tighten inspection on motorists coming into the city.
Parang mababalita sa na mayroong ganitong amount, but assure you that this type of incident will not be repeated. We will increase our border patrols and improve our intelligence monitoring.
To give us details and insights on this, we have with us on the show Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong. He's joining us over the line. Mayor Magalong, welcome to the big story.
Good evening, Robbie. Good evening, Gretchen. Good evening to our televiewers and listeners.
Sir, sinabi naman po ni Secretary Abalos, they don't believe that this was intended for Baguio at dinaan lang daw sa Baguio. Parang sabi niya nakastore dito. But I mean, on that point, why Baguio? Do you have any theories on bakit po sa Baguio iso-store?
Yeah, very good question. Actually, that was my first question to the Philippine National Police when I was being briefed yesterday early morning. Why Baguio? At according to them, sabi nila, because of the situation in Metro Manila, so far as drug business is concerned, is very unsettling because of the intensive and extensive operation of our PNP, PIDEA, and NBI on instruction of the President. Kaya nakita nila na talagang mainit, mataas ang pressure sa kanila, kaya they decided to bring their staff muna para for safekeeping sa mga lugar na mababa yung cases, medyo low-key, and they've chosen Baguio. So the first question is, ang tanong ko sa kanila is, sino ang contact nila rito? Malamang meron silang contact dito. So yun ang subject of their investigation, part of their investigation.
Now, sir, and you said, dinala sa mga lugar. You suspect na hindi lang po Baguio ang pinuntahan dito. This is being dispersed in other areas, at least what you're getting from the police.
Yes, ganun na nangyari. Yun ang kanilang information na pinrovide sa akin. Kaya kasi mainit kayo sa Manila talaga. Mainit sa Manila ngayon. Dahil nga, on the go lagi sila, on edge. On the edge lagi yung mga drug syndicates ngayon sa Metro Manila. And Regions 4 and Regions 3.
Sir, Chinese nationals and Chinese tea bags have been brought to light with this case as part of a continuing operation by the PNP. Is this the first time you're hearing about this with the same group or meron pa pong similar incident?
Well, I have no knowledge. In fact, I have no knowledge on other groups. Pero I know for a fact that there are several syndicates operating in the Philippines. And I came from PIDEA, I came from the Philippine National Police. At hindi lang naman isang sindikato yan eh. marami yan, hiwa-hiwalay, fragmented yan.
Pero sir, doon po sa point nyo kanina, as you acknowledge nga, ang first na tanong nyo, sino ang contact niyan? Where do you begin to answer that at your level, also as Chief Executive of Baguio? And is that going to be a question that has to be nagging at your level?
Yes, that's true, Robbie. Kaya nga talagang kanina pa, pinupukpuk ko talaga yung aking local police na talaga ituloy nila investigation. Hindi dapat mahinto lang dito. But let's wait. Anyway, ongoing naman yung mga, meron pa silang mga follow-up operations na ginagawa. And hopefully, makakuha talaga tayo ng klarong information or intelligence that would really identify kung sino talaga yung contact nila.
Sir, pukpukin ko na lang, didiretsuin ko kayo. You've worn many hats, as we said. You're mayor, nanggaling kayo sa PIDEA, nanggaling kayo sa police. Putting all of those together, I guess ang tanong is, kayo ba maniniwala kung sabihin sa inyo, hindi, walang contact yan dito sa lugar natin?
Imposible yan. Imposible yan, Robbie. Alam nila kung saan nila ilalagay, kilala nila, alam nila kung ano yung mga bakante, may contact sila sa Baguio. And we will not stop. I directed the police, we will not stop the investigation until such time we'll be able to identify who is their contact in the city of Baguio.
Sir, can you tell us a little bit more about the overall drug situation in Baguio with this current administration as compared to the past? Is there anything that has changed when it comes to protocol given the current president's different strategy when it comes to the war on drugs?
Well, alam mo, Connie, I can only speak for Baguio. For Baguio, for example, 4 na lang yung barangay namin dito na affected. And the target now, being the chairman of the City Anti-Drug Council, is to clear all these remaining 4 barangays, to declare the entire city of Baguio as drug-free. So yun ang target namin this year.
Sir, something lang, mabilis na question lang po. Sir, quick question lang po before we let you go. Napansin ko lang po sa video natin about body cam. And then we're crediting it to the Baguio City Police. Itong mga footage na pinapanood natin, naka-body cam to. Can you tell us a bit more about the operation itself, how it was coordinated with Baguio, the Baguio City Police, and for that matter, I know we've talked about this a long time ago and many times about the use of body cams. Do we take this as a good sign na finally nangyayari ng mga ganito?
Good question, Robbie. In fact, we procured 100 radios. Yung 100 radios na are the new digital type of radios na meron na siyang body cam. Susundan nila yan. At the same time, may tracker na siya. So nakikita namin doon sa aming Smart City Command Center what is really happening on the ground. So talagang requirement na yan na every time they operate, dapat suot nila yung radio na yan with the built-in body cam.
Sir, you're also part of the 5-man panel investigating the PNP. Any updates on that? With the police, have the cases been closed or is it still ongoing?
Kanina kasi I was not, we have a meeting this morning and tomorrow. And we're almost done. We are at the tail end and that's all I can say because we have the spokesperson. Malapit na matapos. Hopefully matapos namin lahat.
Okay, Mayor Magalong, maraming salamat po. Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong.
Meanwhile, 3 suspects are accusing PNP CIDG of pressuring them to identify the Teveses as the ones who ordered to bury the seized firearms and explosives in one of their properties. Marlene Alcaide with the story.
The 3 suspects arrested in the sugar mill owned by former Negros Oriental Governor Pride Henry Teves remain under the custody of the PNP CIDG. They were arrested at the former governor's compound where several firearms, explosives, and a huge amount of money were seized during a search. Their lawyers say the 3 are complaining that the PNP CIDG has been pressuring them to tag the former governor and his brother, Congressman Arnie Teves, as the ones who ordered to bury the firearms in their property.
Kasi sinasabi nila from day one that they were arrested, there was already pressure being exerted against them. Hindi dinetalye sa akin pero kahapon lang nang pinuntahan ko sila, 4 na beses na daw silang kinausap. Only for that day. Pinapaamin po daw sila na
Attorney Michael Melia says the suspects were told by the police that if they won't cooperate, they could face several cases.
pressure to file several malicious cases against them.
With this development, Melia says the families of the suspects will file a complaint with the Commission on Human Rights. Meanwhile, Congressman Teves' lawyer, Attorney Ferdinand Topacio, is appealing to Interior Secretary Benher Abalos to investigate this matter.
Please, I do not believe at this point na meron po kayong kinalaman dito sa panggigipit na ito. So under nyo po ang mga kapulisan. Pakitignan po itong ginagawang ito. Please lang.
Ganito yan kumisang kasi, lahat ng gagawin mo, uunahan ka na eh. Lahat, kunyari sabihin, panggigipit. Lahat ng gagawin ko, panggigipit na. Hindi pa nangyayari. Kamukha nung araw, sinasabi niya, paplantahan siya. Pare, pagkatapos ng patayan at tsaka lamang nahuli lahat, hindi ba?
This morning, Attorney Topacio and Attorney Melia went to the Justice Department to attend the continuation of the preliminary investigation into the illegal possession of firearms complaint against Congressman Teves. This one is in connection with the firearms previously seized in his property in Negros Oriental. Justice Secretary Boying Remulla earlier said that Congressman Teves, who is still out of the country, is now being considered as one of the masterminds in the killing of Governor Degamo. And until now, Attorney Topacio couldn't say when is his client coming home. The next hearing is scheduled on April 14th when the filing of the respondent's counter affidavit is expected. For News 5, Marlene Alcaide, we are One News.
Coming right up. With the sizzling summer heat, Senator Win Gatchalian is pushing to revert to the old academic calendar, which placed the summer break between April and May. DepEd spokesperson Michael Poa will join us for a discussion on this when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News. You're watching the big story here on One News. With the days getting hotter here in the Philippines, more and more calls to adjust the school calendar are being pushed. Senate Committee Chairman on Basic Education Win Gatchalian said it may be best to revert to the pre-pandemic schedule for the academic year. Before COVID-19 struck, classes in basic education started in June and ended in March, with the months of April and May reserved for summer break. In 2020, the DepEd moved the school opening to August to allow schools to adjust to online classes and blended learning. But with COVID-19 no longer a major concern nowadays, we're now left with students going to school in scorching heat and the problems that come with it. Just last week, over 100 students in Cabuyao, Laguna had to be rushed to hospitals due to heat exhaustion from an unannounced fire drill. DepEd previously urged schools to conduct surprise fire and earthquake drills to prepare students in times of disaster. On a regular school day, teachers are also having a hard time teaching class under intense summer heat, according to a survey by the Alliance of Concerned Teachers. That's why the group is also urging DepEd to bring back the old school calendar. But the department remains firm that it will not do that. DepEd had said that schools have the discretion to suspend in-person classes and switch to online when the environment is considered not conducive for learning. Nevertheless, the agency says it will take note of suggestions to revert to the old academic year format.
Here to talk to us about the call to bring back summer break is DepEd spokesman Michael Poa. He joins us over the phone. Good evening, Attorney Poa, and welcome to The Big Story.
Good evening, Sir Robbie, Ma'am Gretch, and thank you for having us.
Sir, so what do you think? I mean, this is the proposal. They're pointing out na that was in a way, a stopgap solution given the pandemic situation. Now they're saying tapos na yung pandemya, or at least we're getting out of it. Pwede na magano. And totoo lang, mainit naman talaga. What's unreasonable about this suggestion?
Opo. Well, actually, there's nothing unreasonable about a suggestion po, no? In fact, tayo naman po sa DepEd, we take note of those suggestions and actually have it studied. The problem is that we can't just immediately switch, no, and revert back to the April-May break schedule. Because siyempre po, there are a lot of factors. For example, the minimum days of school that we need, no? Right now, ang minimum days po natin is 203 school days. So we will not meet that if biglang we call a break. Secondly, we really need to have those things studied. And so in the meantime, ang ginagawa po natin is, as we've clarified the other day, our school heads have the discretion to suspend in-person classes. No, I have to emphasize in-person classes when it's no longer conducive yung environment for learning. But switching them immediately also to alternative delivery modes. Kasi nga po, ayaw nating maantala palalo yung pag-aaral ng ating mga bata. But hindi naman po natin binabaliwala yung mga suggestions on reversion or reverting back to the April-May break. And that is why we really want this studied rin po talaga on our part.
Sir, kung sakasakali po, March pa lang ngayon. At tapos aralin pa po natin ito, what can we do now to address the health issues that have been brought up? 37%, according to a survey, have reported that they have triggered existing medical conditions. 40% noted, parang konti na lang daw pumapasok. And 67% find the heat intolerable. So what can we do now to address
right
these?
now, that's what we're doing, Ma'am Gretchen. No? Of course, without because I don't know the piece of the survey, to be honest. So I will not confirm that. But of course, we are not naman being ignorant, no, na talagang mainit yung panahon. And that's why, as we said, we need to give discretion to our school heads, to our principals. So case-to-case basis kasi iba-iba naman po yung lokasyon ng schools natin sa buong bansa. But our principals would know best because they're on the ground. So once nakita nila na talagang sobrang init at hindi na po talaga maganda sa kalusugan ng ating mga kabataan, pati na rin po ng ating mga teaching and non-teaching personnel, they have the authority to immediately suspend in-person classes for as long as the students are switched to blended learning or alternative delivery modes. Right now, syempre po, no, yan yung magagawa natin on the ground because, again, our school heads will be the ones that would know best kung ano talaga yung sitwasyon ng kanilang school on a day-to-day basis.
But, Attorney po, sabi nyo nga po, bukas naman kayong makinig sa mga mungkahi.
Opo.
What would be the process for that and how long might that take for us to have a holistic approach to this?
Opo. Well, right now, we will have to refer the matter to what we call our curriculum and teaching strand. Sila din po kasi magdedetermine, no, yung ating school calendar. So right now, for example, yung ating school calendar is set to end on July 7. That's the last day as per our Department Order 34, no, for the school year to complete the 203 days. So we will have now to consider din po, no, because if we want to end by March or end of March to have a summer break ng April and May, we will have to see paano natin mahahabol yung number of school days as provided by law. So these are the technicalities that we'll have to look into. Pagdating naman po sa timeline, to be honest, right now, since ngayon pa lang namin ipapaaral to, I cannot really give you a precise timeline. But obviously, this study has to be done sooner rather than later. So talaga pong i-refer namin to para mapag-isipan kung tama nga ba na ibalik natin ng April and May. You know, if you remember, prior to this move, no, because it was caused by the pandemic, marami ring agam-agam noon na pagdating naman ng June, nababawasan tayo ng klase because also nalalagay din sa peligro ang mga kabataan dahil puro tayo bagyo, typhoon season. So these are the things that we will really have to consider din po.
Okay, maraming salamat po, DepEd spokesperson Attorney Michael Poa. After the break, airport officials expect foot traffic at the NAIA to breach 1 million in time for Holy Week. With that said, agencies are being instructed to ensure enough manpower to accommodate the surge of passengers. The details when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
You're still watching the big story here on One News.
As Holy Week approaches, transport authorities are implementing some changes at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport to accommodate more passengers. Gerard de la Peña with the details.
With the Holy Week surge a couple of days away, passengers have already started to flock at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport. The Manila International Airport Authority is expecting the number of passengers at the NAIA to reach at least 1.2 million from April 1 to 10, as daily average volume is now pegged at 120,000. Officials said this is not too far from the numbers recorded before the pandemic happened. That's why the MIAA is already in talks with the Bureau of Immigration and other airport stakeholders to ensure enough manpower at the terminals.
This is the first summer since pandemic kicked in that passengers will be fully go through the different borders, both international and domestic. We've actually been discussing with the airlines and the ground handlers to make sure that they have sufficient manpower and equipment. We're talking to them so that it can become more reliable and we can avoid any severe delays or any cancellations of flights that will impact passenger experience.
The MIAA also said that the Bureau of Immigration has already committed to add at least 60 immigration officers at the NAIA to speed up processing of documents of international passengers. This early, however, passengers already have to endure long lines at the immigration counters just to make sure that they will not be offloaded.
Ina-anticipate kasi namin na medyo mahaba yung pila daw ngayon. Kaya nga 4 hours before kami dumating.
Mas maganda na pong maaga kasi hassle po pag maraming pila. Tsaka po sa check-in, minsan po mahaba ang pila sa check-in. Kaya inunak maaga.
With this in mind, the MIAA is looking at implementing long-term measures now that airport operations are almost back to how they were before the pandemic hit. All international flights of the Philippine Airlines will be moved to Terminal 1 from Terminal 2 starting this July. In effect, NAIA Terminal 2 will be exclusive to domestic flights of Philippine Airlines, AirAsia Philippines, and Royal Air. Only Terminals 1 and 3 will serve international flights. Immigration, customs, and quarantine personnel that previously served at the Terminal 2 will be transferred to Terminals 1 and 3.
Kita nyo kanina sa Terminal 1, mahaba yung pila, pero dito wala. Kaya maglilipat tayo ng ibang flights para mabalanse natin yung mga passengers.
The MIAA will also reconfigure the final security check at the Terminal 3, which will leave ample space for more immigration counters that can serve thousands of passengers, especially during peak hours. For News 5, Gerard de la Peña, we are One News.
Before we go, it's no secret that Filipinos tend to use Apple products more than other tech companies. In fact, Filipinos would even spend hours in line just to snatch the latest iPhone model. Well, just recently in the United States, Apple launched its Buy Now, Pay Later service. The service will allow users to split purchases into 4 payments spread over 6 weeks with no interest or fees. Users can apply for loans between $50 and $1,000, which can be used for online and in-app purchases made on iPhone and iPad with merchants that accept Apple Pay. Many Filipinos also be hoping that this offer will be available in the country. A good deal for those dreaming to buy Apple products.
And that's the big story tonight. For more updates, follow News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World Online. You may also log on to onenews.ph for more analysis. Ako po si Robbie Alampay.
The big story is also available via Signal Play app. Make a free account now at signalplay.com and stream One News anytime, anywhere. Ako po si Gretchen Ho. Stay safe, Philippines.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.